happy Father's Day to you. We're excited to see you here in the Lord's house this morning. And it's always exciting to get to see our baptismal waters stir. And today, I have Mr. Kirby Porter. Some of you may be familiar with Kirby because Kirby's been around here for a while. In fact, this is the second time Kirby stood in here. And but he wants to sort of explain that to you for just a second. So y'all give Kirby your attention.
Hello, I believe all y'all know who I am. My name is Kirby. I've been here a while. First, I'd like to say God is good.
Amen.
Praise His name. Love you, man. Anyways, I've been in here before, but I was living a lie and deceiving myself. Truth of the matter, I was ate up with addiction. It was alcohol, and it destroyed everything with me. It just about cost me my life. And once God broke the chains, which He did, in almost 4 months, realized that I wasn't saved. I couldn't be doing that and truly be saved. But I am now. Amen. And I come, it was March 17th. Talked to Pastor. We'd already talked about it. And I've repented of my sins. And my life has changed 180 degrees.
Yes.
People that know me, they can attest to that. But I'm here today to follow the Lord and believer's baptism.
Amen.
Because of your profession of faith, I'm now going to baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Buried in the likeness of His death, raised to walk. Listen, Kirby truly has something to celebrate as God has changed his life. And I want you to know we can never take for granted the things that God does in our lives. And as Kirby now can attest and say that God has healed him from addiction, you know, there's many of you that have testimonies of God's healing in your life. And I've asked one more dad. As Kirby's a dad this morning and he's testified of what God has done in his life, I've asked one more dad to step up. And Tommy Bill, would you come up this morning? Tommy also has an amazing story of healing in his own life. And he would like to testify and share that with you.
My name's Tommy Bill, if you don't know me. And I've got up in front of you and talked once before, and like I told you, I'm really out of my comfort zone. I hope I can make it through this. I get very nervous in front of people. If I was talking a basketball game or hunting or fishing something, I could talk to you real good. But when it comes to talking to God, I'm out of my comfort zone, and this is probably why He's got me up here talking. And I don't know where to really start. I went to the doctor at Houston, MD Anderson, this last Monday for a checkup. And so that's why I decided I'd try to give you an update on what's happened. And I thought I'd go back and give you a little bit of background. So back probably in the 70s, I met my now wife, Debbie, and I was saved in 71 and a revival. I was out playing a baseball game, and God said, "You need to get this straight now." We'd been to revival that night, and so I couldn't play ball hardly because of thinking about all that. And so after the game, we went back. They were still at church, and I got saved there. And we got married eventually, and then I became a deacon. They asked me to be a deacon, and was living at Lake Tyler. Went to church at Pine Springs for a while, at Flint Baptist for a while, and then we moved back out here in '83 to where I was raised all these years. Went to Van High School. And fast forward to November of 2017, November 3rd, I went for a yearly physical checkup, and Dr. Nash down there gave me a clean bill of health. Said, "Get out of here. You're healthier than I am. You're going to be around 30 more years probably." Well, you take life for granted when you're healthy. A few weeks passed, and I think it was Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving, I started feeling just tired. And I'm always going, and I just didn't feel like going much. And as the weeks went by, I just kept getting weaker and weaker, and couldn't go out and look at the cows, couldn't go out and do all the things, didn't even really want to go hunting. But about the middle of December, I went to the doctor, and about December 15th, I think, and they said that I was just having some kind of infection or something. They gave me medicine, sent me home. That night, I think I went to the hospital, the emergency room. They gave me medicine, sent me home. And 21st of December, I went back to the emergency room, and they did some CT scans because I was hurting so bad, and they said I had acute pancreatitis, and they put me in the hospital for a few days, said everything was better, sent me home 23rd, day or two before Christmas. But I didn't feel like doing anything. I knew something was wrong because I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I couldn't eat what they said, don't eat hardly anything, just liquid diet. The day after Christmas, I went back to my doctor at Chandler. They did some work, said, give me some medicine, sent me home. And that night, I was back at the emergency room. They sent me back home. All this time, something was going on, but I couldn't figure it out. 28th, I went back to the Chandler, to the doctor. They sent me back home. That night, I was back in the emergency room, and they put me back in the hospital for a few days. And got out, and on the 8th of January of 2018, a little over a year ago, they sent me to do a PET scan, and went to the oncology people, and my platelets were down to 4. I just couldn't hardly go. They was giving me transfusions every 3 or 4 days to keep my blood and my transfusions up. And things just weren't going very good. But after the PET scan, they put me back in the hospital. And I remember the doctor came in, and he said, "I've got some bad news for you." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "You have Burkitt's lymphoma." I said, "What's that? I've never heard of that. I've heard of leukemia, but I hadn't heard of lymphoma." It's a very, very rare disease. There's not many people that get Burkitt's lymphoma. But it affects your glands, sort of like leukemia affects your blood. Burkitt's lymphoma affects your glands. And I know now that CAT scan, they said acute pancreatitis. They showed me the picture of that, and everything in here was just all red and everything where that lymphoma was. And so he said, "We're not really set up here at Mother Francis to handle that. You need to be MD Anderson or something." Well, I'm a country kid. Houston scared me. I mean, I didn't know where to go. Where am I going down there? I don't know how to get around down there anywhere. But they put me in the hospital here at Tyler to start with. My daughter was up here from Houston, Lori, and she said, "You need to be down there at Houston." I can't go to Houston. I don't know what to do down there. And my daughter here at Tyler, Julie, and her husband, and my wife, Debbie, they were there. I was in the hospital 2 or 3 weeks at Tyler. They give me my first round of chemo. It takes like 6 or 7 days to go through your first round of chemo. And I took that. I gained about 20 or 30 pounds. I looked like the Michelin blimp. I was all swollen up and everything. And I just wasn't feeling good. And kept trying to get them to get me to Houston. And they said they don't have any openings. My daughter said they do have openings if you'll just get down here. And I had all these tubes in me, so I couldn't just go. But on the 24th, my wife went down to the hospital, and she said, "I'm taking him to Houston." "You can't do that." "I'm taking him to Houston if y'all are not." And she went and met with somebody there at the hospital, and one of the insurance ladies was working with Houston, and within an hour I was signing the papers and they had me in an ambulance, and I was headed to Houston to MD Anderson. I got down there about 10 o'clock that night, and they started doing all these tests. Before that, though, they called her down there to Tyler twice, I think, and said, "Miss Bill, you need to get down here because he may not make it." And so, I mean, I didn't realize I was that bad. I knew I was sick, but I didn't know I was fixing to die. But they told her that I may not make it through the day. But anyway, I got to Houston, and they saw how bad I was, and I had the flu, and I wasn't being treated for it at the Tyler, and I had pneumonia, and I wasn't being treated for that at Tyler. And so they started treating me for that, and it was nearly time for my next round of chemo every 21 days. And so I got treated for the flu and the pneumonia and started getting over that, and took another round of chemo. I was in the hospital, MD Anderson, for 7 days getting that, and then I got out and I went and stayed with my daughter Lori in Sugarland, and you'd have to go back to the hospital twice a week to get a blood test to check and see how everything was. Fast forward, I went through the third round, and I had one of the best doctors on lymphoma, they said, in the United States, treating me. And he said, "You may just survive this." And I said, "Well, when will I know?" And he said, "Don't get in a hurry." But I was in a hurry. And I remember that time, right after the second transfusion, Pastor Craig and his wife, they called and wanted to know could they come by. And I said, "Yeah, but I'm in isolation. You'll have to dress up funny." So they came by and they put on their gown and their caps and all, and they came in. And I was pretty dejected at that time. But that seemed to lift me up a lot, give me new hope. Brother Shelby from New Beginnings, he called, gave me hope. And I had people from all over this congregation was praying for me. All my deacon friends was praying for me. A lot of the churches from my cousins all around, some as far as Missouri, was praying for me. I had a lot of people praying that I get over this. After the third round of chemo, the doctor came in after I did my PET scan, and he said, "Looks like the cancer's going away. But you still got to take 3 more rounds of chemo." And I said, "Well, that's good. They'll get easier." He said, "No, they get harder." And I guess that's because all that stuff breaks down your body, and you just it got hard. Sores all in your mouth. I lost my hair. Y'all probably saw me bald-headed the last time I did this. But anyway, I took my last round on May the 1st of last year, and I went back every 2 or 3 months for follow-up test, and everything looked good. And so I went back this last Monday, and I had my CAT scan, and he said that everything looked good.
Amen.
He said if the cancer was there, as rapid growing as you had, he thinks that if it was still there, it should have popped up by now. And so nothing's there. Come back in 6 months.
Amen.
So
There we
I'm
go.
going back in December, and I just want to say that you can't take life for granted. I always took life for granted. But if you say, if before you get up every morning and lay down every night, if you thank God for this day, none of this would have been possible without God and everybody's prayers. He heard the prayers. He gave me life for some reason. I don't know why, but he let me live. He let others people pass away that's had cancer. And I had a bad kind of cancer, but right now I'm well. And if he was to come tomorrow and they said, "You've got the cancer back," that's fine. He's given me a year and a half that I didn't have to start with.
Amen.
And I wanted to I told Pastor Craig, anytime I can praise God and give him the glory for it, I need to do that. Because I went through a lot, and he did it for a reason, and I just can't give him enough praise and glory. And if you don't know my God, you need to find him, because someday it could be you.
That's right.
But I'm just trying to live for God now, and thank y'all for listening. I know I drug it out, but I wanted y'all to know my story, because I just can't give it out enough for what he's done.